Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of GVN Live. GVN Live. Okay, that's a great start. I am Fight Club Hubs, and with me is Emily and Mark. How are you two doing today, Emily?
I'm good.
And Mark, what's happening?
We are all creeping slowly closer towards the inevitable end result of entropy.
Yes,
Okay.
there is that.
And I had a cheeseburger.
I had
a
Are
cheeseburger.
By the way, is everybody showing or just me? Because it's kind of creepy right now.
It's just
Yeah, it's just in his camera you can just see you, but on the thing it's all of us.
That's really creepy.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's something.
That's really creepy.
It just happened. I don't know what happened there, but just ignore Skype for now. But you'll definitely know what's going on.
I am. I just minimized it. I can't look at that though.
So, you notice that Gamer Keith isn't with us tonight. Unfortunately, the poor guy had to be forced to work tonight. So, we wish him well. We hope he manages to catch the end of the show. And I hope it's a quick shift and that he gets some rest. Tonight is going to be a fun episode. We are going to be talking about the recent fiasco that is the Snes Classic Mini. And then we're going to be talking about Megaman in a brand new segment. We hope to be a recurring one. Who wore it best? That is pretty much what we are going to be arguing about. Which game in the franchise we feel is the best, pretty much. And we made a requirement that it has to have at least a minimum of 4 games in the franchise. Is that what you said, Mark?
I feel like that's a good number, honestly. If you're talking there's 1 through 3 at that point, you're going to get a lot of overlap since there's usually 4 of us, and there's not really a lot of room growth-wise. I wanted it to specifically be about games where there's more than 4 games because in gaming franchises that's a really common thing to see.
Yeah. Okay, so to start things off with, what have you guys been up to? What have you been playing? We'll start with you, Mark.
Oh, God. In the past 2 weeks, I have played a lot, actually.
This is going to be different from the norm.
Yeah, actually, a lot of stuff came out that I was playing. I played the new War of the Chosen expansion that came out for XCOM 2. I played Mario vs. Rabbids, or Mario and Rabbids, I should say.
How is that?
That's basically XCOM for people who aren't very good at XCOM, and I like it, but I totally understand why it might be a scenario where it's not for everybody. If you don't, there's a lot of people have expressed to me when I've talked about the game that they don't like Mario, not that they hate Mario, it's just Mario aesthetically, conceptually is not a character that they give a shit about, it's not something that interests them franchise-wise. And that the Rabbids are not a franchise that they care about. So for them, it's a hard sell right from jump. And, the best thing I can say about it is I decided to play it because, I don't care about the Rabbids. I don't care about Mario. But I like XCOM, and it looked like XCOM. And it is very much a game that works from a franchise perspective because it makes the Rabbids characters likable in their own way, even if you're burned out on them or the minions or other similar things. But it also makes the mechanics of XCOM work so that if you are somebody who is bad at XCOM, you can play and enjoy this game and do well at it.
That's good. I was kind of hesitant on it. I mean, there was a lot of... surprisingly, a lot of hype behind the game because it was 2 universes that are coming together, and it's actually Ubisoft who made the game, correct?
Yes, Ubisoft made it with input from Nintendo.
And first off, let's just take a quick second and recognize all the glorious people that are in our chat room tonight. Let's say hello to Excalibur, Might, and Podjack. Hey, how you doing, guys? Just to name a couple. Anything else you've been playing, Mark, in the meantime?
I just want to say, I did post it on my Twitter, Aaron. He said he didn't know that I had a Switch.
Yeah, that's what he gets for not paying attention. All right, so
It's fine. But beyond that, I mean, yeah, it's like, I've just been catching up on stuff. Like I played Blaster Master, which was good. I played XCOM 2 War of the Chosen, which is very good. I played, Splatoon 2, which is good. But that's it. Just a lot of games that were all quite good. This has been a very, very good year for games, and it doesn't seem like it's letting up anytime soon.
no, it doesn't look
No,
like
it does not.
All right, Emily, how are you doing, and what have you been playing?
I am good. I'm tired because, unlike everybody else who had off for their Labor Day,
I worked 8 hours by myself in the butcher shop.
okay, well, I worked all day too, so I feel your pain. But other than that, I've been good. Busy, actually. Same thing with, events. Always working events, and I went to ECT yesterday just for the day for a couple hours. That was fun. In New Jersey, and games I've been playing. I've been playing a little bit of everything. In the last 2 weeks, everything I've been playing Tekken 7. I almost played Street Fighter 5 because I'm a not, but I did not end up playing Street Fighter 5. I was playing the Pokken DX demo on the Switch. I got that. I was checking that out last weekend, so I'm really excited for that game. And Minot is Bay. Yes. Minot is Bay so much it almost made me want to play Street Fighter 5 again. I'm still on that cuff. I don't know. We'll see. And I've also been playing a bunch of really, really random Kindle games on my Kindle.
Kindle can play games?
Yeah, your Kindle can play games.
Oh yeah, they have on the
Kindle,
Amazon store.
My Kindle Fire, yeah, I've been
I thought a Kindle was nothing more than just an e-reader. Now you're telling me it actually does stuff that a iPad can
It's
do?
a tablet. It's a
oh
tablet.
yeah, it
Really?
has. For
I must
a really
not have been
long
paying
time.
attention to this thing. I guess it's been evolving through the years, and I just haven't cared.
I mean, in all seriousness, I only get it because I can play games and watch Netflix and Hulu and stuff like that on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, yeah, it's a tablet. So you can pretty much do everything that you can do on a cell phone without calling or texting people. Essentially, Facebook, Twitter. I mean, the only difference is you don't have a keyboard. It's touchscreen with your finger, which is kind of annoying. But anyway, I've been playing a bunch of games on there, and on my phone, really lame games. But I don't even want to say which games they are because they're lame. But they're fun to me when I'm bored. I started playing some weird ghost game, and there's some butterfly game and Cooking Fever. At one point, I was playing Gordon Ramsay's cooking thing or whatever, and he was yelling expletives at me because I wasn't making meals fast enough. Like I said, stupid games, but games that kind of keep you entertained for a long period of time.
Mm-hmm.
But mostly I'm just trying to keep myself, I've been mostly training in Tekken 7, and honestly I'm just trying to keep myself entertained because there is a ton of new not just fighting games, a ton of new games coming out in the next 2 months that I really want. So basically, I pre-ordered Super Mario Galaxy, this new Super Mario game on
How can you forget the name?
Switch. I know. It's really, really bad. I can tell you about it, though.
I know, it
Mario
does look
goes
dope.
into the real... What?
It looks real dope.
It looks really awesome. I
Mario,
can't wait.
if you could have told me that they would make a game where Mario throws his hat and possesses people, then I would have been like, man, what kind of drugs are you on, and can I have some?
I'm just excited that Odyssey, yes, thank you so much. I'm sorry, literally, it's been that long of a day. I literally have consumed so much caffeine. It's not it's not even funny today. So I'm kind of on a little bit of a crash at the moment. But yeah, Super Mario Odyssey. And so I'm excited about that game. I mean, honestly, Mario being in the real world, I think that's what I'm most excited about. They seem to have done a really good job on it. I'm excited about Pokken DX. And I'm excited about Marvel's Capcom Infinite. And I'm excited about 20 million other games that I pre-ordered.
Okay.
So that's it. That's my life, playing a bunch of really random games and training in Tekken 7.
In regards, I I'm actually stepping away from Street Fighter V because, once again, the stupid game mechanics are pissing me off. That and the online. I actually popped in King of Fighters 14 for the first time in a while, and I forgot that I owned the DLC character, so I went in there and started practicing with characters like Whip, who I was a fan of back in like KOF 98, 99. Very fucking technical games. It's a completely different beast in 13 altogether. And I honestly have to say I do prefer 13 more at this point.
Then what? 14?
Yeah. I mean, not just graphic. I mean, the game it plays fine technically. I guess my opinion of it has changed over time, but I think it's maybe a bit too technical in certain areas of the game. Like I won't be able, like not being able to use EX attacks without doing the whatever that thing is that I even forgot what the button is that allows you to go into EX mode or whatever it's called. Other games I've been playing, I got Darius Burst, which is a PSN game. I was thinking about trying to get the limited runs edition physical copy, but I haven't been able to get one for myself. In terms of the Switch, I actually haven't played the Switch in a little bit. I've been playing quite a bit of Fire Pro Wrestling. I just finally made my first wrestler in the game. I put it up on the crap, man. I'm just having all kinds of fun forgetting things today. What's the Steam community thing called again, Mark?
Workshop, Steam Workshop.
Yeah, I posted my characters to the workshop, but it's only available for friends to download. So definitely check me out and kick my ass all you want. I know Mark's looking to do that later tonight. Other games, I hopped back into Terra, which is one of my favorite MMORPGs of all time. I also started playing Diablo 2 again. I've been all over the place with playing some of these older games. I even got... Okay, here's some future plans for Game Jam. I don't know if we'll do this in October or November, but I'm going to do a Doom clone month. So, and I got an infamous PSN Doom clone, Disruptor, right here. That's a pretty fun game so far. I really enjoy it. It's one of those games I missed out on when the PlayStation came out that I really wish I had a PSN for it, or PlayStation at the time. And that's pretty much about it. So, there you have it. Now, let's move on to our first topic of conversation, the Super Nintendo Classic Mini. We are going to be talking about this fiasco. Let's dial it back a little bit. Sometime, what was it, at the beginning of August, in the middle of the night, pre-orders went up on Walmart's website for the Snes Classic, and within 5 minutes, it sold out. Apparently, word had it that this was Walmart botching the pre-order, and they immediately canceled all the orders. So then, what was it? The end of August, Nintendo gave everyone the okay to start pre-ordering, to open up pre-orders. For fuck knows why, Best Buy and Amazon decided to do their pre-orders in the middle of the goddamn night. At midnight, at 1 o'clock, and at 3 o'clock. They decided to do that within, and if I recall, I heard this right, within literally 1 minute, Best Buy sold out within 1 minute. The same with Amazon. At about 10 a.m. on Tuesday morning, the pre-orders for Target went up. The pre-orders went up for GameStop. Target was having some problems with their website because they were getting hit hard. GameStop's website just completely crashed. But word got around that you actually can go to the store and pre-order it, but they were having problems setting up their pre-orders. I actually went to the GameStop to pre-order my system, but I had to instruct the guy, hey, reset your system so it will actually show up as available for pre-order. And the guy did that, and lo and behold, it actually was available for pre-order. I don't know how long it took, but I don't think there was anything left available for pre-order through GameStop, because apparently word also got around that you can actually use the app to pre-order. Target sold out, I think, within half an hour once people were able to get through the website, because the website was just crashing and burning left and right. So, let's take a look at this real quick. Nintendo pretty much didn't give anybody any forewarning as to when the pre-order was going to go down. Neither did any of the companies like Walmart, Target, Best Buy, Amazon, or GameStop. I think they did probably the worst job possible of putting the pre-orders out and available. Some of them even lost their the pre-orders went out so quickly because there was a lot of resellers out there who were using bots to go in and buy as many of these consoles as possible. And from what I understand, I believe Walmart is the only company who actually had something in place where they said that if people were ordering more than one system, they would actually cancel all the other orders.
That is actually not true. So people actually pre-ordered more than one system, and this happened, I believe, it happened with Target as well. But there were people that ordered multiple systems, and then later on, after it was already sold out, Walmart started coming through and just canceling people's like pre-orders. Not all of it, just part of it.
That's what I just said.
Okay, well, you said that
they were canceling. They were canceling. If they ordered more than like one console, they would cancel all the additional consoles on top of it. They would just get the one console.
Right, but the problem is they didn't warn ahead of time. Like, for example, like when I got the Switch and I waited in line to get the Switch, both places I went to, because I had to, in the same morning, somehow find my brother one too. I lucked out and got two of them. But both places I went to, Walmart and Target, specifically said you can only get one. You can't buy more than one. Well,
it's a standard policy for most pre-orders when they have a limited stock.
But they normally say that ahead of time.
Yeah.
They don't wait and allow people to get more than one and then come in later on and just cancel people's extra pre-orders. Especially if someone says, "Don't worry, I got you. I got this for you." Like, let's say it's for, somebody's birthday and they get an extra one and now that person can't have it. I know that Walmart didn't pretty much give them anything. They just canceled it and said you can only have one. I believe Target, or I forget, I think it's Target, I could be wrong. There's another company, I'll look it up in a minute, that was at least giving $25 dollars, of whatever you want, like in the store, to try to make up for canceling people's pre-orders because they didn't tell anybody. So I guess I just misunderstood what you said. I thought you were saying that they're the only ones who announced that you could only have one, and I was saying technically they didn't announce it. They waited until after people pre-ordered more than one before they came in and said, "Oh no, you can only have one."
Other things that went on, apparently GameStop was trying to push more than just when they were doing in-store pre-orders, they were also trying to push Snes Classic bundles. Now, I don't know how true this is, but people were trying to say they were trying to force people to pre-order bundles of the Snes Classic with other stuff that they don't exactly need. I couldn't find the information, like the ad that people were using to show proof of this, because now I'm not really sure about the validity of it. But that just sounds like a really stupid thing to do when you're trying to tack on like an $80 retro console, and you're trying to get them to spend $120 for a bundle of other crap that they don't need. Now, what do you think about that, Mark? Like, what is with GameStop, how they force people to buy their way?
I mean, in a broad sense, I don't hate it, and I understand why they do it. My issue predominantly is I wish that they would just let you build a bundle instead of customizing a bundle the way that they would set it up. Because for the longest time, they had Switch bundles. And none of the Switch bundles ever came with anything I would have wanted. So it's not inherently the problem of you have to take this bundle that we have. The problem is that they build the bundle specifically the way that they want to, with things that you wouldn't otherwise purchase. And in a lot of cases, it's because they have a surplus on other things that they want to get rid of. They have attachment rates that they want to make. So it'll end up being a position where they're trying to sell off shit that they don't want clogging up their inventory. That's the part that frustrates me specifically, is the part where they're saying, well, if you want to buy this thing, it's not just that you have to buy extra stuff, it's that you have to buy extra stuff that you don't want. Like, it's our fault that they over-purchased on dumb shit, basically.
Mm-hmm. All right. So outside of that, now there are a number of things. I think I might have mentioned a couple already that really I find pretty pathetic in regards to how this whole thing went down. One, I want to place blame on Nintendo for failure to properly talk with these companies about supplies and when they are opening up pre-orders for. Because from what it sounds like, Nintendo did this pre-order bullshit at the last second with these companies. I also want to place the blame on, the companies themselves, Walmart, GameStop, et cetera, for poorly conceiving how they went about with their pre-orders, not getting their websites ready for the huge amount of bandwidth that was going to be coming down, not being able to create any kind of program or any kind of ability to combat, bots, because they were scooping up the majority of all the pre-orders right away. And two, what was the last one? Crap. You know what? I think that actually might have been all my points. I think I was getting ahead of myself. But let's Emily, tell us, how do you feel about Nintendo's reluctance to learn from their mistakes, and how badly they went about with this whole Snes Classic fiasco?
I think one of their biggest issues is advertisement when it comes to the SNES Classic, because it's not the first Classic that they've released. And before, when they did pre-orders for it, it was a similar thing. They didn't make enough consoles. Everybody wanted one, and the lack of the amount of consoles, and this tends to be a typical Nintendo thing when you look at the Switch and how stores are constantly sold out because they don't deliver a lot of products. Like when it comes to their consoles, that's just how it is, which of course in turn makes it difficult for things like events and tournaments and things like that, when it is so difficult to find these things. Not saying necessarily that the SNES Classic is going to be used at any tournaments, but just giving an example. It especially makes it difficult when you have kids, parents that want to get their kids this SNES Classic or a Switch for that matter for their birthday or for Christmas. That's what their kid really wants, and it's been months, and this parent keeps trying. And I've met parents that try, and every day they were coming into these stores asking, do you have it yet, and tried, and it maybe took, I think, one parent 5 months going into different stores like multiple times a week trying to find like even a Switch for their kid, and it was 5 months after their birthday. So you kind of feel bad for parents and kids who really want this and nobody can get it. And I think it's a similar concept to the SNES Classic. You have people that have complained over and over again about the lack of systems and the lack of information on top of that as well. So I'll be honest, I had no idea the pre-orders were going up for the SNES Classic. If I would have known, I would have pre-ordered one. I woke up the next morning and found out that pre-orders happened and they were sold out. And I was irritated because I was waiting for the next time they decided to do pre-orders again for it, and I was going to be on top of it. But I missed out on it because I had no idea. So advertisement as well. And I feel like you can't 100% fault companies like Walmart and Target in regards to advertisement, because a lot of the times they have to wait for permission from the main Nintendo. They have to wait for Nintendo to say yes. They have to wait for Nintendo to approve what they can and cannot say. So on some sort of level, I don't 100% fault them for the lack of advertisement. The other companies, not necessarily Nintendo, but Walmart, Target, Amazon, I don't 100% fault them for lack of advertisement because they probably didn't get anything in time, any permission to actually be able to say anything. As for Nintendo, I feel like Nintendo knows, and Nintendo doesn't care. They continue to do the exact same thing over and over again. But as much as it irritates everybody, Nintendo keeps doing it because people keep buying their products, despite the fact that they're irritated at Nintendo, if that makes sense. So I think that they need to start advertising more, Nintendo. I think that they're putting more emphasis on Switch and other systems right now, and kind of not caring as much. I mean, they care. I don't want to say that they don't care. I just feel like maybe they just don't care as much, as opposed to trying to push out, like the Switch and things like that.
But aside from advertising, what do you think Nintendo could have done better in regards to, like, let's say, the relations to Amazon or GameStop in regards to setting up these pre-orders?
I think that communication is really, really important. Giving all the information ahead of time. If they go ahead of time to the retailers and they say to them, okay, this is how many you are getting. You are allowed to start advertising this day that you have this many that you can essentially allow people to pre-order from. Pre-orders start at this time. And basically you can pick what time pre-orders can start once you have the permission from, Nintendo to do so. Nintendo says, all right, this day they can start pre-ordering. Okay, they can start pre-ordering this day. On one hand, I understand why Amazon and some of the companies started at midnight. On the other hand, they didn't advertise, hey, we're doing pre-orders at midnight. Now, this could be due to a multitude of different reasons. This could be because Nintendo told them, like, that day, later on that day, hey, you can start tonight, and there just wasn't enough time to put together any advertisements for it. Or two, there was some type of miscommunication behind the scenes, but it all goes back, unfortunately, it all goes back to Nintendo. Because if you look, not one retailer really advertised it. And that leads me to believe that they didn't get the permission they needed in time in order to, properly advertise. So I think that, Nintendo really needs to give these other companies permission to go ahead and do the advertisements they need to do, so that there isn't a continuous issue with pre-orders and how many can be pre-ordered and not. My biggest issue was the advertisement, and I think that if you're only going to allow a company to, I think if you're only going to allow a player to pre-order one console, then you need to specify that ahead of time. So that's my opinion on it. They need to do better advertisements. They need to give the retailers actual permission to go ahead and, tell them, you have to use this logo, you have to use this is what you use, this is what we want you to use too.
Okay, yeah, very much. So let's just say, for instance, and I was just about to mention that, let's say Nintendo actually did give these guys street dates and everybody decided to break them, and that's not an uncommon thing in the world of the gaming industry, especially for mom and pop shops. Mark, do you think that maybe everybody in the gaming, every one of these websites got, like, ants in the pants and just jumped the gun a little bit with their pre-orders once Nintendo gave them some numbers? And what do you think they should have done better?
I don't think they thought about it in the same way. See, video gaming is important to us in a broad sense.
Yeah.
As the early adopters and the introductory people, but we are the minority.
Yeah.
For us, it's we care about street date launches. We care about when stuff goes available in that way. The companies selling these products don't necessarily think about it as such, because they have that ability to just release stuff whenever, and it doesn't necessarily compute to them as anything more than another product to be sold. They're not looking at it from the perspective of, we should set a time when this is going to be made available. And I think They're starting to get it because you'll notice, like with the way that they handle second, third, fourth, fifth wave switches and things like that, they're starting to get a handle on the idea of we need to announce a time when things are going to be available. Whereas with like the SNES Classic, they probably just figured it's a novelty item. Like they probably didn't think of it in that way. And I think they might be prepared the next time around. But at this point, it was just, oh, it's a product. We're just going to add it into our system the moment that it's available to add it into our system when we run our overnight update. And that's probably what it is in a lot of cases, is they don't deal with a lot of products that have this sort of thing happen.
Which would probably go along with my point that their focus is more into their major consoles like the Switch, as opposed to, focusing on an SNES Classic, which, while it is,
it's a nice little novelty thing that people
but
buy
it's
on
also,
the side, really.
The thing is, it's a nice little novelty thing that happens to be in high demand. And I feel like they know this. They know it's in high demand, but they still kind of let it go on the back burner.
Now, of course,
seriousness.
Yeah. Now, of course, with this launch, I mean, just like with the NES Classic, the SNES Classic had a bunch of scalpers and resellers just jumping right in, scooping up as much as they can, using bot programs and whatnot. Obviously, some of these companies are aware of stuff like that. I would say GameStop had probably the best way of handling that, which was by forcing people to buy the console through their app or by pre-ordering it in store. Why wasn't Amazon, Best Buy, Target, Walmart? Why do you think they didn't take more precautions to prevent these bots from buying, like, let's say 10 consoles each? And what could have they had done to have prevented that? Or do you think they probably shouldn't have just bothered because all they cared about was money? Mark, what do you think?
I mean, like, who is it that cares about money in this metaphor? I'm sorry, I lost it somewhere along the way.
Yeah, I screwed that up towards the end.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
I'm just saying that, like, do you think that in the end, because all they care about is that they sold these systems, that they care about is their money, they don't care about the bots scooping in and getting all these systems?
Are we talking about Nintendo or the retailers?
The retailers.
Yeah, no, they don't give a shit.
Okay.
They have no incentive to give a shit. Why would they? Like, the thing of it is that early adopters, early investors, people who are going to buy this kind of stuff are generally in the minority. People who care in this way are generally in the minority. They aren't really used to dealing with a product in this way where this matters. So from their perspective, it's a product. They don't give a shit. So long as the thing sells, it doesn't matter to them. Now, again, like, if they start seeing, a lot of negative response on social media, if they start seeing negative response from customers, that's probably going to change their mind on it. But they probably just look at it as another thing to sell. Like, there's no greater thought process for most companies than that, honestly.
Yeah. So pretty much in the end, it just really comes down to the almighty dollar, and these companies and Nintendo don't really give a damn. Nintendo is well aware of the demand.
I don't want to say they don't give a damn. I think it's more they're just putting more focus into the larger consoles and games and things like that they think should have the focus. I feel like it's difficult for a company to put 100% focus into every single product. However, I do believe that if they were aware of the high demand that their previous classics had, they probably should have been more prepared this time around. But Mark, you were going to say something. Sorry.
Companies like retailers don't necessarily care because even if we do concede that the Nintendo Classic had a high demand, they probably didn't get the same type of immediate negative response that they did to the SNES Classic. Like, the SNES Classic, I think, got a much swifter and much nastier response from the general public who couldn't get it, because there were probably a lot more people trying to scalp that shit this time around. And I think more likely at the original time when it happened, when the original NES Classic came around, the response was probably less bad. I don't think retailers don't give a damn necessarily. I think they don't care, which is different in that, like, intent is kind of mattered. Retailers don't care because they've never had a reason to. They sell thousands of different products to millions of different customers, whatever. In the case of Nintendo, I kind of look at it from the perspective of they are functionally bad at, licensing these sorts of products, because I think they have the concern of, we're going to have all of these leftovers that nobody wants to buy and that get clearanced out that we're going to lose money on. And to a certain extent, I can kind of understand that. Like, people look at their Amiibo sales and they say, well, this stuff was gone in 5 minutes. Yeah, but then when they started making multiple waves of them, what happened? I got my Ness from a GameStop on clearance. It's a weird balance for them, where they don't want to make so much of the stuff that nobody's going to buy it, but they don't want to underproduce it. So they announce that it's going to be a limited time thing. The biggest issue is, unfortunately, the scalper situation, and that's just a matter of, again, a lot of retailers are not prepared for the idea of scalpers using automated tools to buy 100 of an item or whatever. Like, it's a matter of, this is probably something that people will be better prepared for if, like, a second wave of these things is produced, or if, like, an N64 Classic is announced or something like that. But it's a weird event that I don't think anybody was prepared for, that I can't really hold against them,
Yeah. Okay. So, we'll just end it real quick with some parting thoughts about the Snes Classic fiasco. Emily, do you want to go ahead and give us your final thoughts on Nintendo and everything else?
I mean, there really isn't much more I can say other than what I have, and that's just, unfortunately, I think that they didn't learn from the previous situation, and I think that their focus was more into other products than it was into this one. I do agree with Mark in regards to the fact that they don't want to produce too much and have some of it like not sell, as opposed to releasing just a certain limited amount. But I feel like they need to try to find the fine balance between both of those, and kind of meet the players kind of halfway here. I definitely get the issue with scalpers, especially using media and bots like that to try to, or buy more than one or pre-order more than one. There are measures that companies can take online to make it so that you literally are limited to just one. So I definitely think that, Nintendo and even retailers need to start looking into those different methods. But it's definitely an issue. I mean, when I was waiting in line at Walmart for a Switch, the guy in front of me was actually irritating me because he was laughing with the other guy about how he was instantly going to go online and try to sell it for $100 more. And I'm like, really? Like, you have people actually in line that actually want it. So, it's irritating to see somebody, right in front of you that's about ready to buy it when, there's people that actually wanted to play it, not to try to make a buck off of it. But, I just think that, that's something that unfortunately they're going to have to figure out a way around it.
Okay.
But I mean, yeah.
All right. Mark, how about some final thoughts from you? And would you be so kind to introduce the next segment and give it a brief explanation? I'm going to go get myself a drink real quick. Pardon me. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
I guess
sorry.
I guess I'm in charge now. All right.
I'll be right back.
Okay, that's fine. Well, insofar as final thoughts goes, I feel like this is probably going to get better, but I don't necessarily think it's going to improve the way that it needs to until we get to a point where retailers start fully understanding the idea of stuff that get picked up
I'm back.
insofar as, like, scalping and stuff goes. Like, I feel like companies in general are scalping products in a way that, like, retailers aren't getting it. They aren't really understanding it. They are, basically just letting it happen because, don't care, got mine. And that's frustrating. And I feel like until we get into a situation where this is, resolved, it's going to keep happening, just to lesser and lesser extents.
Yeah, it's a damn shame. I mean, the collector in me gets frustrated by this crap of scalpers and resellers just hogging all sorts of stuff, whether it's just SNES classics, NES classics, or hell, even a simple copy of Ninja Turtles Turtles in Time for the NES, and then they sell it for like $170. So.
Right, exactly. And I feel like until we get to a point where we deal with the situation effectively, as far as scalping goes proper, things aren't going to get any better.
Yep. If only we can find a way to control scalping like they do in the NFL when it comes to like tickets and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, because that's a very effective system, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so Mark, early reason why I really wanted you to introduce the new segment, because it was originally your idea, and I just thought you'd do a better job at introducing a new segment than me, because I sound boring.
Well, the basic idea was one that I came up with as a new concept for us to address periodically, where we all know that there are many different situations that come up, and like where games, go 8, 9, 10 games long in some capacity or another. Movies generally top out, except in very rare circumstances, like a James Bond, with 3, 4 things. With games, you can go 8, 9, 10, 15 games into a franchise and still keep going. So I thought it would be interesting for us to take particularly long-lasting series, long-lasting franchises, and talk about, for all intents and purposes, who wore it better. That is, which game in that series was the best game in that series.
Sorry, Excalibur Mike. We'll be maybe looking at that franchise later on. Actually, didn't we have an argument about that last year? Final Fantasy?
You guys had an argument.
We had a debate about whether Final
it
Fantasy 6 or 7 was the best.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't about the whole entire franchise of Final Fantasy. It was just 2 specific ones that you guys.
Well, when it comes down
about.
to it, almost the entire fan base argues whether which one is the better of the entire franchise. But moving on, so what game did we what franchise did we unanimous words are hard pick? Mark, I'm tired. Can you tell?
What? Okay. So this time around, we decided to go with a franchise that, has been around is for a number of years, to the point where it was even revived in its initial existence, Megaman. Specifically looking at the first 10 games, inclusive of, Mega Man's 1 through, I think it was 7 on the NES,
6.
Mega Man 8, Mega Man 1 through 6 on the NES, Mega Man 7
on the Super
on
Nintendo,
the SNES, Mega Man 8 on the PlayStation, and then Mega Man's 9 and 10 on the various digital downloading services that were available. This is excluding the X sub-franchise, the Battle Network sub-franchise, and so on. It's only the first 10 Mega Mans. Now, for games like this will probably vary in some cases to another, depending upon how many releases they've been. For example, like the Street Fighter franchise will probably be like all of the different sub-games together in one group. But for Mega Man, there's so many of the damn things across so many of its different sub-franchises that it's worth talking about just those first 10 games.
Yep. Okay. So we're going to be talking about the Blue Bomber. Who wore it best? And with this new segment, we'll go ladies first. So, Emily, please present us with your favorite Mega Man game and your argument as to why it's the best,
Ugh,
why it wore it best.
you're gonna make me go first on this one. Okay. Um, unfortunately, I haven't played every single Mega Man game. I have played a few of them. One of them being Mega Man 9, which I am going to say is probably my favorite. If we're excluding the Mega Man X games, then I will say Mega Man 9. And that's partly because I kind of did things a little bit backwards, where I didn't have an SNES or an NES when I was a kid growing up. My first like classic system was an N64, and I had like Game Boys and stuff like that. So it wasn't until I was older that I had other consoles. So when Mega Man came out on the PS3, Mega Man 9, I kind of jumped right to it, and went a little backwards and started playing some of the older ones. Although I admit I never finished them, but the reason I feel like Mega Man 9 was one of the best out of the 10 was I feel I got confused for a minute. I thought that was somebody else, not the bot, commenting. I'm like, I am saying it. I'm talking about it right now. Because I feel like storyline wise and weapons and everything else that it really kind of brought the Mega Man series kind of back. It like made it more fun again. I'm not really sure how to explain that, but it was just a really well-rounded, put-together game. I enjoyed it a lot. I definitely wish I could speak more about this. Like, I wish I had played more of the Mega Man games and not just Mega Man 9 and Mega Man X and a few other smaller Mega Man games. But I actually can at least tell you that I really, really enjoyed Mega Man 9, and I think it's one of the best games, and yeah.
Okay. So, Mark, do you want to go first? Should I go first? What are we going to do here?
I mean, it's my idea, so I guess I might as well go first.
All right. Have at it, sir.
For me personally, the Mega Man game that I liked the best in the series was probably Mega Man 2.
Okay. I mean, that's a common, commonly shared game that a lot of people still feel is the favorite of the franchise.
Part of it is, like, I feel like the later games in the series get particularly into the weeds as it relates to adding in new abilities, new mechanics, things of that nature, with Rush and things of that, like, extent, and to move on with our day. But I do legitimately feel like 2 kind of crystallizes a lot of what the later games build on, with the option parts that you can throw out and do stuff with, eventually evolving into Rush, and the structures and mechanics that most people expect from the franchise ultimately being put into 2. Like, not to say that later games don't evolve, they just don't evolve to the extent that the franchise does from the first game to the second game. A lot of the stuff that you expect to see in a Mega Man game got its start in 1 and 2, and 1 I kind of feel like is a little bit bleh as far as it goes. Like, it's still a good game, it's just you can tell it was their very first effort. Whereas, like, if you get to, 7, 8, and 9, a lot of the stuff that you see in there is frameworks borrowed from the first 2 games. I also legitimately feel like it has the best Wily stage music out of any of the games. And while that might not be,
sorry,
yeah, and it's a not necessarily a criteria for a lot of people, but for me, listen, music is a big experience out of this, and I loved it, and I thought it was great.
Okay. I guess I go now, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so for me personally, I'm actually I'm a big fan of Mega Man 4. I think that is hands down the best game in the entire core franchise for a number of reasons, some of which include it's got first villain besides Dr. Wily making an appearance. Of course, that does set a bad precedent for Mega Man 5 and 6, where they have fake villains. You have some of the most challenging boss fights out of the Robot Masters that I've ever encountered. It had probably some of my favorite stage designs, and a great assortment of colors, and the graphics were really eye-popping. The music, I will agree with you, is probably not as strong as Mega Man 2, but there are definitely some themes that I think straight up rival and even surpass some of the music in Mega Man 2. Like, for instance, one of my favorite themes is Dr. Wily's final boss battle music in the game, mainly because, for one thing, it pissed me off when I would get to a final boss during the days of the NES gaming, and there would be no, like, set boss music. Instead, the boss music in Mega Man 2 was really just the same Robot Master music played over and over again. Whereas in Mega Man 4, it felt special. Like, this was definitely a final confrontation that was going down. Other things I liked about it, like, I really liked the weapon system. I mean, yeah, granted, it's the same thing. Oh, hey, we got the same elemental powers going on, but and granted, there was a couple of things that they took some steps back on, like, you know, I mean, they introduced Rush in 3, and they used him to some great effect in that regards, but he kind of felt more like a side note in Mega Man 4, and then they brought back, like, the random devices, like the balloons and the wires for mobility. Overall, I mean, I think Mega Man 4 was great. I also like the fact that there was great storytelling that went on. I think this is probably the first Mega Man game in the franchise that solidified storytelling with not only just an opening cutscene, but with, I think, probably the best ending theme music of the entire franchise as well. It was a very somber ending as well, if I recall. I mean, going into, of course, you know, the traditional Mega Man music for, you know, the credit rolls and all that stuff. And let's give a shout out to Mickey, who appears in every single fucking Mega Man game in the credits. I don't know. I just really think that Mega Man 4 is definitely the strongest in the franchise, and I love that game to death. I've even attempted many times to try and speedrun the fucker. It's a really challenging game, especially when I was practicing it to speedrun it. I don't think I can speedrun games because, quite frankly, I just don't have the reflexes that some of these guys do. So shout out to those people who speedrun Mega Man games. You are the real hero. So that's pretty much it for me right there. So any thoughts in regards to our picks? Do we want to analyze each other's game? What do you think you want to do from here, Mark?
I mean, at this point, I don't necessarily feel like that's, you know,
a thing
where we need to analyze our own individual picks. I feel like this is more a case where, you know, like, people, like, we can look to the comments, for example, and see, like, what people think of that suggestion, what they think. And apparently everybody's really mad about Mega Man 6.
I don't know why people are hating on Mega Man 6. That was actually really good. In fact, if you ask me, Mega Man 6 has the best final boss music out of all 10 Mega Man games. You can suck it, everybody. Mega Man 6 has the best final boss music out of all the games. If you want to talk about a crap Mega Man game, let's look at Mega Man 8. Okay? Let's look at Mega Man 8. Alright, you're going to sit here and tell me that Mega Man 8 is somehow better than Mega Man 6. You be tripping. Okay, so it looks like we're getting down to the end of the show. We're winding down real quick. Shall we? We got a lot of people here that we can interact with, so maybe we can open the floor up. Does people want to get to know us better, ask us questions, our thoughts? We are an open book, so please feel free to ask us anything.
Yes.
Yes, Nick. Yes, Nick.
Questions.
Come on, Nick. I'll fight you. You know where I live. Come at me, bro. Come get these hands. But, yes, the floor is now open. If you have questions for us, feel free to ask us, everybody. So, I know it takes time to type, which is fine. Usually, Crystal has a question already lined up for us.
I have like
Here you go, G-Million. You got a question for you. Who are you
two
maining in Tekken?
in Tekken 7. I am currently maining Brian Fury.
All right, I'll
Yep.
give you a follow-up. Who are your secondary and tertiary characters?
Um, in Tekken 7, I don't exactly have one yet, because I'm trying to just focus on one. However, I can tell you that in Tekken 6, my main was Lily, and in Tekken Tag 2, I often mained Lily and Unknown, or no, Lily and Unknown was my main in Tekken Tag 2. But Brian Fury, I don't know why I did not discover him before, but I discovered him in Tekken 7, and I'm obsessed. So he's my main. He's crazy. I love it.
Okay. Sounds like Excalibur might want to go at you. He's talking about his Steve. So what do you think? We should get a first to 5 on your stream, Emily?
Fight me, Excalibur. What? Not right now, I hope. I need to
Oh, I
warm
didn't say
up.
right now. Yeah. You might be a little out of practice.
I need to warm up. Don't make me do that. Hey man, I'll play people.
There you go.
I mean, we are planning a fighting game episode in the future, so maybe we'll have a first to 5 if he's down for that on stream.
Okay. Any more questions from the audience? Please feel free to ask us anything. I mean, I know some people have asked us a lot of questions in the past, so they might be all questioned out or burnt out or whatever. In the meantime, Mark, are you interested in the Snes Classic at all, or no, sir?
Not really, honestly. Like, part of it is that I don't like the inherent idea of the SNES Classic for the same reason I didn't like the NES Classic. I like the idea of a box that you can put under your TV that looks like an NES or an SNES that can play NES or SNES games. But I specifically don't want a box that can do this that plays like 30 games and then nothing else. I was just at that point, like, I could just buy a Raspberry Pi and like set it up to, play games that way. Like I could just download the games I already own and put it on that.
You can put every NES game in the library on the Snes Classic. I mean, I put an additional 30 or 40 games on my NES Classic, and they still have the same.
Hack it, don't you?
No, it's just a little program that you flash games onto the memory. Is what you do.
Right, and that's my thing is, if I have to go through that kind of effort, I'll just buy a Raspberry Pi, and then I can just emulate games I own. Like,
Every time you keep saying that, I literally think of Pi.
It's PI, Raspberry Pi.
I know, but I keep thinking of Raspberry Pi, and I keep thinking, damn, that sounds really good right now.
Okay, Mark, we have a question for
random.
you. He's been gone a while. Did the power of dancing revive the P3 Pro Tag?
Yeah, so I would normally tag this spoilers, but listen, it's been like 7 years at this point. If you don't know this, like I can't help you. I'm not really a big fan of pie, actually, Aaron. I like apple pie, and that's really about it. But at the end of Persona 3, the protagonist dies, I guess. Like, it's more accurate to say that he goes into a coma and like his soul is locked in immortal battle with the spirit of Nyx or whatever the fuck. It's weird, just not the point. But to answer Nick's question, I'm pretty sure that they're going to set Dancing Moon Night, I think it is, during the events of Persona 3, or they're going to do something like they did with Persona Q, where they're going to have it be an alternate dimension type deal.
All right.
I'm assuming it's probably going to have to be the latter, like that there's some type of alternate dimension nonsense going on or something to that effect. Though, if they want to use Dancing Moon Night to finally resolve that fucking plot point that they've been going at in the Persona 4 arena games, I would be 100% fine with them just unfucking that whole plot line and then never bringing it up again. I would be totally okay with that.
All right, so I guess we'll take one more question, but in the meantime, let's get some final thoughts from both of you. It's not a system reproduction, so to speak, but how about a game reproduction? Capcom is re-releasing the original Street Fighter 2 in limited edition clear cartridges, 2 colors, Blanca green and Ryu red. What are your thoughts on this latest fiasco from Capcom re-releasing a 30-year-old game at this point? We'll start with you. They're re-releasing the Super Nintendo cartridge of Street Fighter 2, the original one, the World Warrior, in 2 clear colored cases. One is called Blanca green and Ryu red.
The
game. They're re-releasing the game with limited edition cartridges
for
the Super
the
Nintendo.
Switch, or like an actual Super Nintendo cartridge.
Super Nintendo cartridges. They're re-releasing the game with the help of limited run games.
Yeah, I knew about the new Street Fighter Puzzle Fighter. I did not know about that one, and I guess I have to look more into that one. But they just released Super Street Fighter 2 on the Switch. I'm not sure that I know that Puzzle Fighter is a mobile game. I'm just saying game announcements from Capcom. I heard about that one. I did not hear about them releasing the cartridge.
Well,
and
just real quick, what are your thoughts about that?
I don't
like it.
Off the top of my head, without knowing that much detail about it, I'm not really sure if it's really a good idea, but I'm sure that there are people that will buy it.
Yeah. Mark, what are your thoughts about it? Why re-release a cartridge of a game from 30 years ago? It's like saying, hey, They
have SNES game, like brand new people making SNES games on Amazon and selling them. They had another fighting game. I don't remember the name of it. It's like a horror-themed fighting game. Yeah. Like other companies doing it is fine. Like we've had independent companies making these kind of things on Dreamcast and whatnot for years.
Independent games is perfectly fine. Like I've pre-ordered.
As far as Capcom doing it goes, it's a marketing tactic, and I don't have a problem with it. It's probably going to be worth like $1 billion in 2 years.
I think they only have a limit of 5,000 copies. They're doing it through limited run games who specialize in making physical copies of, let's say, indie games and digital only games. So to you, it's just perfectly fine. Okay. Any more questions? If not, we are going to end the night. I guess we're still waiting for that last question, so let's do some plugs real quick. Miss Jamelian, could you tell us about your new show that you're planning on doing?
Yeah, all right. So for those that have known me for a while, I've done a lot of interviews and such from the past in the fighting game community. It started out written, and then I did some in person at events, and then I started doing live stream ones. I used to have a program that I used to do that was written called the East Coast Player Spotlight, where I would choose one player a month and I would interview them and give them a featured interview and showcase them online. I'm bringing back that series, the East Coast Player Spotlight series, only this time I'm doing a live stream interview. And I didn't have time to talk to the person yet that I'm interviewing tomorrow, but I actually changed it up a little bit. So for the first half hour, it's going to be a live stream interview showcasing that player on my Twitch, which is twitch.tv/Jamelian. And then after that, I'm going to play some games with them that I'm going to stream for my PS4 on the same Twitch channel as well, so that you can see the type of player that they are, etc. So the East Coast Player Spotlight program, I brought that back. The first episode of that is tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The player that I chose, he is a Tekken player, Comanda. He is from the Philadelphia area out here, and he just got 9th actually at ECT this past weekend. So I'm looking forward to that. And I also am starting another series that's starting this month. It's going to be closer to mid-month, right before TFC in North Carolina, because I have to drive down to that. But that is the Women of the FGC Player Spotlight as well. That one is specifically geared towards showcasing the women in the fighting game community. I have not. I'm planning on announcing by the end of this week, early next week, the first winner of that one for the month of September. But you can follow me on Twitter at Jamelian and Facebook at Jamelian and Twitch at Jamelian. Pretty much anywhere you see Jamelian, that's probably me. I'm on Instagram as well. I'm everywhere. I have a YouTube as well. And that's pretty much where all my content and all updates are going to be, as well as updates on the fighting game majors that are run by Biggie Gaming, and also the Fall Classic, which is happening at the end of this month in North Carolina.
All right, just real quick to answer Excalibur Mite's last question of the night. Monster Hunter, will we be playing it next year? My answer is going to be yes. I'm assuming you mean World, of course, Double Cross. I haven't decided if I'm going to import it yet. I'm waiting to hear back if Capcom's going to do anything about it. Mark, are you going to play it?
Of course I am.
Absolutely.
It's a Monster Hunter game that is exactly the way I wanted it to be, i.e. on a console. And, the fact that they're doing that, yeah, I'm going to reward them at this point by buying that game. I want to play that game. I want it to be good. I want to enjoy it, so...
Absolutely. I look forward to it, and I guess your system of choice will be PS4, or will you get it for PC as well?
It depends on where people are going to be getting it, just in general. I'm going to go where the people are. The more people are going to have it on a particular platform, the more likely I am to get it on that platform,
Yeah, I think I might end up getting PC and PS4, just to be fair, because I think I have a lot of friends who will be playing it across both platforms. So I haven't decided yet. So
I'll probably get World.
Yay! We can have ourselves a little GVN live hunting party.
Woo!
Yeah.
We should. I would love to play Mario Kart on one of these episodes.
Yeah, you.
Oh, and Pokken DX. Everybody has to get Pokken, and then we can play Pokken too.
Okay, and Mark, how about your plugs? So go right ahead.
I don't really have anything particular to plug beyond what I normally plug. You can check out my podcast, Neo Kobe Pizza, over at soundcloud.com/MarkBWriting. This week, I'm going to be premiering the first part of a two-part podcast with Mike Solosi on the subject of video game music. And last week's podcast specifically was about the science of Parasite Eve, featuring Mr. Zeke Ryden.
Okay. And anything else in regards to, say, your live stream? Is it still just sometimes Sundays and other days?
Well, now it looks like it's probably going to be Saturdays, starting at around 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I took a vote, and everybody decided that they would much rather do it on Saturdays over any other day. So, in general, I'm still kind of working out the kinks with that. I don't have anything definitively set up with that or with possible other YouTube videos. So we'll see how it goes.
Okay. As for me, I got a few things in the works. First off, I just want to talk about this right here. This is, this is in the month of September is Zelda Clone Month on Game Jam, which is something I do every Wednesday, where I play something retro, either with a friend or just by myself. Like I said, I'll be playing Zelda clones for the month of September. Right there, you see my little schedule of games that I will be playing. I recently got Golden Axe Warrior, which is where the inspiration for this themed month came from, and I look forward to playing all of these again. Some of these are classics like Alundra, and I'm not actually, to be truthfully honest, I'm still up in the air about whether or not I'm going to do Legend of Oasis or Beyond Oasis. Both are still amazing games regardless, but I haven't decided, so maybe I can get the audience here to pick for me. So Beyond Oasis or Legend of Oasis. Also, what I have coming up, of course, every Thursday is 3 Vets and a Noob, Phantasy Star Online Blue Burst Adventures, where me and my ragtag crew of Vets and a Noob go forth for 2 hours of comedy and camaraderie, where we just fling insults at each other while we're doing runs, taking down Dark Faults and any other minions that are in the way. And, of course, adjacent to this show right here, every other Monday, I do the Free Step Dodge Dead or Alive 5 online tournament bi-weekly. Next week, September 11th, we aren't sure if that's actually going to happen now because no one's really signed up for it, mainly because of the date, most likely. But we'll see what happens. Usually I have this on the nights that I'm not doing GVN Live, so definitely check that out, guys, when you get the chance. Aside from that, any parting words from everybody before we end the night? No?
No.
All right,
Nope,
well,
I'm
ladies and
good.
gentlemen, I want to thank you all for tuning in to GVN Live. I want to thank you, Jamilian and Mark B. Writing, for joining me tonight. And to everybody out there, thank you for tuning in and have a wonderful night. Peace.
Bye.